Hey, it's AP, and today we're making Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Check it out. I've been wanting to make this puppet for the longest time, probably since the first time I saw a community theater production of Little Shop of Horrors. I just fell in love with the concept, I fell in love with the puppetry and the effects, and so I was like, I can make that. And years went by, and I finally decided, why not now? And here we are. So stick around and watch how I bring my little Audrey 2 to life. Now before I dive in, I need to figure out the material I'm going to use to make my Audrey 2 puppet. There are a few different routes I can go down, but I'm the kind of guy who likes to use the stuff that's laying around his office, and so I went into my to-use box and I found this big piece of foam. So, and it looks like I have enough to cut the shapes of the pod out of here for the top and bottom, which is awesome. So I'm going to give this a try and we'll see how that goes. But before I chop this up, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button because you want to be notified when I do all kinds of crazy stuff like this, right? Yes, you do. All right, let's head over to the bench. I was very optimistic about using this foam, especially when it cuts so easily with the bread knife. Shaping the foam was a different story. I tried the bread knife, I tried sandpaper, I tried the knife again, I tried the belt sander. I even went out and bought a foam cutter. Nothing worked. I'm giving up on the foam, but there is something else we can try. In my research, I found some people had success making these puppets out of foam heads. And this is the type of foam that I think will be cut very nicely with this tool. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this. Now that I have a great head to work with, I need to create some veins. I first drew them out and then used Crayola Model Magic to create some 3D texture. Model Magic is pretty easy to work with and air dries hard. I used a little water to help me smooth out the imperfections. I just eyeballed where my fingers will go, drew some cut lines, and then used the foam cutter to dig enough out to accommodate my long fingers. So the Model Magic was okay, but not the best. As you can see, it's separating a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hot glue, actually I'm taking that off, I'm going to glue this back on. I'm going to hot glue the edges of the Model Magic to help it stay down. And I hope, so why I went with the Model Magic in the first place was I was concerned that the hot glue would melt the styrofoam, but it does a little bit, but not as much as I thought it would. So I'm just going to gently
To make easy work of this, I grabbed some rosin paper and sketched out the shape I was looking for. I based this off of a mutated birch leaf. Once I had my template, I transferred the shape to some super thin EVA foam and just cut it out with regular scissors.
So after cutting these leaves out, I realized I screwed up because leaves are not shaped like this, with this big flat piece here. They have a little stem on them, so I need to recut these, and that's okay. So I'm just taking my original template and I'm going to skinny it down a little bit. I don't know if this is going to work. I have to do the stem because that will make the leaves going flat easier for me from a control perspective. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So now I have, yes, much better. Okay. So all I'm going to do now is go back to what I've already cut out and recut. Oh. There we go. Much better. All right, so now we're doing the leaves, and I'm going to do the veins on the leaves. I tried a few different approaches to this. I tried using the wax carver to kind of carve an indent into the foam, and that was okay. I even tried the foam cutter holder attachment. That wasn't so great. And then I also tried some hot glue. And I think this is the winner here because you get a nice texture to it. It bends very nicely. And I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but in the right shade, you get the indents of the veins, which add this kind of nice level of detail, which I think is really sexy. So, so to do this, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sketch out the line so I have like a reference point. And we're just going to go down. We're starting with the smaller leaves first. Doesn't matter which one you start with. And I have my hot glue gun on the hot setting, or the high setting, not the low setting. I don't think it matters, although with the hot setting, it didn't melt the foam, which is good. So just, you know, depending on the foam that you're using, if the high setting is melting your foam, try the low setting and see if that works. And then we're just going to follow the line. Now, I'm also doing, it's important to note that I'm not making a replica of the film plant, although this is inspired very much so by that. I'm making this as if I were making it for the stage. And what that means is there's going to be some exaggerated details because when you're on a stage, your audience is typically, I mean, I'd probably say at a minimum 10, 15 feet away from you. You know, if you had a stage pit and you were on a, on a deck, there would be a good distance. So you want some exaggerated details so people can see them from a distance. If you took any of the stage production Audrey 2s and filmed them as if they were being shot for a movie, they'd probably look kind of silly because they're very, there's bright fabrics used, bright colors to be used. So, so that's the route I'm going with this build. Just in case someone on the RPF says that's not screen accurate. Well, I'm not looking for screen accuracy here. One last thing I need to figure out is how exactly I'm going to get the big leaves to wilt. I put my 3D design skills to use, and I use that term very loosely, and I made kind of organic looking ridges and printed them out. And they're not the best quality because, I mean, I just printed these on a regular FDM 3D printer. But the idea was to make them look almost like scales, except there's a ridge here where my string can pass through. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some, I had fishing string, excuse me, left over from 1,000 years ago, when I used to hang my models from the ceiling. And this is an 8-pound test. So I'm using the 8-pound because it's what I have. I hope it's going to be strong enough to handle the pull. If it doesn't, I'll go and pick up maybe some 10-pound or 15-pound. But this is really nice and thin. It's 0.011 diameter. I don't know if that's 0.011 of an inch, but yeah. So let's. So I'm going to glue this to the top because that's where I want to pull from. Yes. Just a little bit of glue right there. And let that dry or cool down. All right, and then I'm going to start putting these on. And I don't want them to be tight over the string because I don't want to restrict it. So I'll just kind of put it to the left, I guess. And then I'm just gonna, and what I like about the hot glue is that because it's kind of messy, it gives it a little bit of a more organic look. And as you're doing this, it's important to make sure that you do not accidentally glue down the string. And again, once this is all painted, I think it'll hide a lot of this stuff. And again, like I said before, doing this for the stage versus the screen, there's going to be distance between this and the audience, so you're not necessarily going to see all of the mechanics here. Okay, so we have our leaf, and okay. Okay, all right. Pull. See, the thing I don't like though is that it doesn't go all the way back up. So I need something to keep it erect. All right, so I have these things. What are they called? They're cable ties. And I think they're rigid enough to hold this up, flexible enough to take the bend, and strong enough to pull it back up. So I'm going to glue this halfway up, and when I paint it, you'll barely notice it. If I were to do this again, I would have glued this on this side. Yeah. Yeah, so putting it up about 3/4 of the way seems to make it a little bit better. All right, so I'm somewhat pleased with that. Now that everything is done, glued, detailed, I'm ready to put the Plasti Dip on. And what the Plasti Dip is it's a rubber coating that you put on EVA foam to give it a nice primer coat. And then I can go over it all with my regular Tamiya paints. Of course, you want to do this outside or in a well-ventilated area. You don't want to be inhaling this stuff because it is a little, it'll make you goofy. And you also want to make sure that you shake it up nice. Want to hear that rattle going. And then we just do light coats. You know what I just realized? I hope this doesn't eat away at the styrofoam here, because normally spray paint will eat away at regular styrofoam. Now the Plasti Dip's on, I'm going to start putting on my top coat. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to finish priming this, because when I put the actual spray paint on, it started eating away at the foam. I should have known better. Oops. So let's, I'm just going to use some regular old-fashioned Vallejo black surface primer, and that should suffice.
I started with some Createx transparent green, thinking it would give me a rich top coat. Unfortunately, it was way too dark for my liking. For the inside of the mouth, I had some pinkish red left over from something, so I used it up here. I then went over it with Createx transparent red to add some richness to it. Now that the transparent green is dried, I added some highlighting with Tamiya's Park Green. I think this came out great. Finally, I added the mouthpiece thing with some more Gorilla Glue. I love that stuff.
So now I'm figuring out the neck mechanism, and originally I was going to use some dryer vent duct, but that made too much of a crinkling noise, and it was very restrictive because, you know, it's just a wire wrapped around some aluminum. And so I wanted something that would be or feel a little bit more organic. So I went to the fabric store and I found some of this great fabric. And it was great when I was looking at it. It was not so great when I was at the checkout counter and realized that it was wool and it cost me more than I was intending to purchase or spend. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with all the scraps here. If any of you are interested in purchasing some fine green wool, please leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. But what I'm going to do is, in essence, I'm going to create I guess a sock with open foot. And what that's going to do is the open end of it will either glue or Velcro to the top of Audrey's head and then kind of cover my arm like this. It has this really nice texture to it. It's almost like a forest green mixed with a hunter green. And then I will go over it with some light black, a light spray of black with my air gun, and then wrap it. I also picked up, which I don't have, oh, here they are. Here they are. I picked up some of this to wrap around the stem to give it, again, a little bit more dimension. These look great. They're not going to be as kind of detailed or creepy as the ones I've made from foam, but they, again, add a level of texture to the neck, which is going to be awesome. So first things first, I need to make some measurements to figure out how much I'm actually going to cut out of this stupid expensive wool. Okay, so I have my sleeve that we made last time. And so originally I was going to have it go this way with the wide end attaching to the head, but now I don't like that. So I'm going to have the wide end actually in the container and the small end attach, just because it fits a little bit more snugly, to the styrofoam. So it's going to be something like this. Oh, this is great. Okay. So I have my little assistant with me. Lyra, say hi.
Hi.
So we're going to start putting the neck leaves on our dear friend Audrey too, right, Lyra?
Yes.
Okay, and so how we're going to do that?
Those are leaves?
They are. Does it look like a leaf?
Yes. That's kind of
Perfect.
like the one for the bird.
Like a wing?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. It could be a wing.
Yeah.
So we're going to glue this onto Audrey like so.
Can you please put hot glue?
Yes, I can.
Please don't burn yourself. Please don't burn yourself.
Thank you, Lyra. I appreciate that. We're in the home stretch, and now it's really just a matter of putting everything together. So what I need to do is I need to cut an armhole out of my paint can turned coffee can. Okay, so let's see if this is still functioning properly. So I'm holding, I'm gonna pull the string. Okay. So I'm gonna put that one in the back because I'm not too crazy about that pull.
When gluing the leaves, just make sure you don't accidentally glue the wire. After I finished gluing the leaves, I drilled a hole in the bucket to run the wires out of. I also used some cable wrap to help keep the wire safe. I grabbed an old key ring and tied the wire around that so I had something to easily hold on to when wilting the leaves.
I'm not 100% satisfied with this. It is kind of cool, the functionality, but not 100% satisfied. So if this was going to be a real functioning prop, I'd probably spend more time trying to problem solve this, but I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna end up on a shelf in display mode. So it's not like this is going to the off-Broadway production. Okay, I think I have two things left, one of which is installing this, and this is really going to be kind of a moment of truth to make sure it fits properly. And I think to do that, I'm going to go with this trusty hot glue gun again. And now the very last thing I need to do is give this coffee can a label. So. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Audrey 2. I'm rather impressed with myself. This came out way better than I possibly could have imagined, especially considering how disappointed I was after my candy shoot, my sandworm candy shoot project last Halloween, and how that didn't come out how I had expected it to. This came out almost better than I expected. I guess the candy shoot lowered my expectations of my skills. So, but yeah, this is great. So the only thing that's missing now is a table with a hole in it where you could put this on. But for now, for my purposes, I can simply just kind of use him handheld or her handheld. But this is what she looks like. Ah. Oh yeah. How are you today? I'm great. How are you? Ooh. I could use some blood. Things that I would do differently. Well, first, I'm not a fan of how these are flopping or how the control functions. I think it's really just because I don't have something strong enough to hold the leaves up. I was using, as you saw, I used some cable ties, and those are just too weak. So if I were to do this again, I would find some sort of metal that had a nice spring to it, but would be able to bend back into shape once you released the pull mechanism. For the head, I did not kind of cover the foam with anything. I was hoping that the plastic dip would help, but it ended up kind of damaging the foam. So next time I would paint this with a coat of latex and then paint on top of that. What the latex will do will give it this nice skin-like texture. If you watched my Dementor build from last Halloween, you'll see that whole process on how I did that on top of a foam skull. So I would do something similar to that. Although I am satisfied with how the texturing came out with the foam. It's just not well protected. If I drop this or damage it, it's going to it's going to be a pain. You're going to see the white foam if it chips off the paint and stuff like that. The latex would help protect that a little bit. Other than that, I am super pleased with this. But yeah, the leaves are a little bit of a disappointment, so whatever. It's okay. So now this is ready to be put on display with our Halloween decorations. I hope you learned something new today. Leave me a comment below if you liked the video, if you're tackling your own Audrey 2 puppet build, or if you're performing in the musical. I'd love to hear where it's happening. Maybe it's nearby and I can go check it out. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because it is free and it is super important to us YouTube creators that we get those subscribers and we get those likes because it helps with the algorithm to get exposure for the cool stuff that we're doing. Plus, I want to make sure that you're notified of all the cool things that I'm up to over here at the Made by AP workshop. Until next time, stop planning and start making something. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stop planning and start making something. Thanks for watching. Oh, Tui. I really wish I could get these leaves to work. I mean, you're not 100% perfect, but you're all right. I mean, I'm not completely disappointed with you, but I mean, my YouTube subscribers, they just met you, but I've been going through this for weeks. Grow and wilt, spurt and flop. Are you sickly little plant? Or are you just stubborn? What is it you want? What is it you need? I've given you sunshine. I've given you dirt. You've given me nothing but heartache and hurt. I'm begging you sweetly, I'm down on my knees. Oh, please grow for me. I've given you plant food and water to sip. I've given you potash, you've given me zip. Oh, Pod, how I missed you. Oh, God, how you tease. Oh, please grow for me. I've given you southern exposure to get you to thrive. I've pitched you back hard like I'm supposed to.
You're barely alive. I've tried you at levels of moisture, from desert to mud. I've given you grow lights and mineral supplements. What do you want from me, blood? Ow! Ah! Damn saw! Damn blades! Clumsy me. Hey, Tui, look what I did. Hey, you opened up. What made you do that? I think I know what made you do that. Well, I guess a few drops wouldn't hurt as long as we don't make a habit out of it or anything. I've given you sunlight. I've given you rain. Looks like you're not happy unless I open a vein. I'll give you a few drops if that'll appease. Now please, oh please, grow for me.